Well, hello there, everybody. And this is Auntie. And yes, you are getting. What is up? What is that? Ah, I'm always getting a stain on my clothes. You're getting a afternoon, midday review because I am on my way to school, and I had a few extra moments as I was working today from home, and so I have a little while. Like I wanted to do this earlier, but I wasn't able to, and so I only have a few minutes to be out here with you all, unfortunately. So I'm gonna try to get through as much of it as I can. I won't be able to interact with you because again, I got to be really out of this house in the next 30 minutes in order to get to class on time. So I apologize for um, not being able to spend a bunch of time with you. But if this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And to all of my new subscribers, thank you so much for joining the family. And to all of my nieces and nephews who have been with me for the long haul, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. We're going to go ahead on and get into this review of Married at First Sight, Season 6, Episode 14, Second Honeymoon Part 2. This was a complete and total emotional roller coaster ride, I'm sure, for all of us. Also, don't forget when you come into the room to hit that thumbs up button. That way that I know that you were here, and so does YouTube. Okay? um, so, we were on a complete and emotional roller coaster ride. I'm trying to fix this lighting so I'm not looking so yellow. I think probably what I need to do is just move back a little bit from up under the light. So excuse me for 1 second. Is that better? Let me see. Oh God, Jesus. Okay, but anyway, I digress. I'm gonna have to just deal with what I got to deal with. So anyway, this emotional roller coaster ride started off with Shawnee's and Jephte, who we have been seeing for the last couple of weeks doing better and better and better. And then, they go to Vermont on their second honeymoon. And they get in the car and they drive up. They have a wonderful trip. Jephte, who says that he, really isn't up on, his romance game, decides that he's going to have a tape made for his little Shaughnessy boo boo, and all is well with the world. And what you didn't see, but on Unfiltered, they had also, all the couples before they went on their honeymoon were able to get this book, and the book was their pictures from their wedding. And so when they went on their honeymoon, they went on there, reminiscing and, supposed to be having this last hooray before they go and make a decision on whether or not they're going to be together. So we see Jephte and Shawnee's, back at the, the corn maze. And we see them having a discrepancy with each other. They really can't get it together. And because Jephte is, here's the thing. If you really listen to what happened, Jephte and Shawnee's were working together to try to get out of this corn maze. And when they were working together to get out of the corn maze, it seems like he had given some of the responsibility for getting out of it to her. And then when they did get out, they came to the spot. We heard Jephte say, "I told you that this wasn't it." And she was like, "No, this is the exit." And he was like, "No, this is the beginning." And so as a result of that, him wanting to be a man, being adventurous, competitive like men are, he got really irritated at the fact that, what are you saying? Okay. So he got really irritated at the fact that, they weren't able to get out of the maze. And so, she's like, well, I'm following you and woody woody whoop. And so things got out of hand. It appeared that Shawnee's to us got very needy. And it was like, if he doesn't want to work as a team, then, basically Why did he get married? Okay. So in all your getting understanding is and Shawnee's, just because y'all did not do this maze together does not, to me, reflect the whole entire marriage. But okay, I digress and I move on. So we see them coming back in the car and they're having a conversation in the car and they're talking about, the whole thing was ruined. And so Jeopardy was like, what was wrong with you? And she said, basically, I can't be in this marriage if I'm the only one that's fighting for the marriage. And so he's like, how did this corn maze turn into a reflection of our whole entire 7-week marriage? And I agree with Jeopardy because, the thing about it is, okay, we had a disagreement. And Jeopardy ended up saying, and Jeopardy said in the car, well, maybe we shouldn't be together. And she said, well, remember, you said that, I didn't. It doesn't make a difference who said it, you implied it. And I thought that Shawnice was wrong. I thought that she did appear to be needy. I know I wasn't there, so I'm only giving my opinion. This is my opinion based on my life and how I will probably handle things. But I don't think that I would have gotten angry. Again, as I said last week, I think I would have turned it more into a competition. But we later on saw, we later on discovered, excuse me, that Dr. Pepper, when she came to the house, Shawnice disclosed that she had been holding things back, conversations that needed to take place. She had been holding back because she did not want Jeopardy to feel pushed, and she did not want to appear to be needy. And I'm assuming that Jeopardy has said this to her before because, she was like, well, I don't want to be this needy woman. And so evidently this is something that he said to her before. And the Bible describes a needy or a nagging wife as water or a drip of water dripping down on a tin roof all night. Nobody wants to be seen as a nagging wife or a nagging girlfriend or anything like that. But you do have to discuss what it is that you want out of your relationship. And I could not understand why she felt like she could not say this to her husband and try to find a creative way of saying, hey, look, I need more out of this relationship. I'm not getting that, and I feel unfulfilled. I mean, if he's going to walk, he's going to walk. And if Jeopardy does admit that he's wrong, he has made her feel like he's a runner, and that if he is pushed, he's going to run. But she's also made Jeopardy feel like she's a needy woman, and there has to be a balance in how you handle your relationship. There's a way of communicating everything. I really do. And I don't think that I would have used the corn maze and as a way for me to say what I've always felt. Um, I think that women, we have to remember to communicate what it is that we need from our partner. And that is one of the things that I've learned how to do very well. I can communicate what it is that I want from my partner. Um, and it's imperative because you know what? If not, then you explode. And when you explode, you say things that you just don't mean. And I don't think that Shawnice meant to say what she said, and neither did Jeopardy. They got, it got escalated. They're sitting in the car cursing one another out. And it just was totally inappropriate. And here it is that this man has done all these things. We have seen Jeopardy, turn from a monster into a little angel. He listens to her. He tries to do everything that she requests. And she doesn't have to ask him to do it. He does it out of his desire to make her happy and to make her smile. And there's nothing... like I said last week, there's nothing more wonderful than a man who absolutely listens and tries to meet those needs without you having to ask. And he has been doing that for Shawnice. But Shawnice other needs have not been met by Shawnee's. So of course, she blows up and it looks like she's not appreciative of anything that he's doing. And I think that she is appreciative of what he's doing. It's just that, she lacked the ability to say what she had to say. Look, let me tell you something. You cannot hold back on saying what you need to say to your partner. Every guy that auntie has ever dated has been a wonderful communicator, and that is something that I absolutely need. I don't need all the other stuff because I can take it. Y'all see my tulips in the bag? Y'all see my beautiful tulips anyway? I have always been able to communicate what it is that I want in a relationship, and I've also been able to communicate what it is that I'm going to bring to the relationship. And if I'm not able to do that, and I can't, you know you're not the one for me. You have to be able to communicate your negotiables and your non-negotiables, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy. And when those needs are being met, you have to be willing to be without that person. Shawnice wasn't willing to say what she needed to say to Jeopardy because she was so afraid of losing him. And sometimes you have to lose in order to win again. And that's Fantasia, okay? But anyway, I don't have enough time to be out here singing because I got to absolutely go to school. But then we see Ryan. Ryan is and Jacqueline are together, and I just absolutely want Ryan to get rid of Jacqueline to get rid of Ryan. Like every time he opens up his mouth, I cringe. He is just, I would say that he has the gift of gab, but he doesn't, because you can tell that he's insincere about what he's saying. Everything he's saying is so rehearsed and so practiced, and it's just, all the right words, and they're all at the wrong time. I just don't believe that there is, in my opinion, one sincere bone in Ryan's body. He is absolutely and totally about himself. He's just an asshole. I mean, there's no other way for me to say it. They go to New York. He alleges in the car that, she has these cousins that live in New York. Yet when we see them this, in the morning time, they're kind of going through packing their things up. We discovered that they had an argument. And that, they were supposed to have been going out, as he says, to get to know one another. And they're meeting his cousin and her friends. So this is our second honeymoon. And if a couple is on their second honeymoon, why would they incorporate friends in this? Like, I just didn't understand his rationale. But he's a party boy. He wants to be, the man about town. And he's just braggadocious, and I just really do believe that, this guy, something's wrong with him. So he says that they're driving in the car, and she gets out, and she decides that, she's not going to go. Jacqueline gives some BS reason as to, she knew it was going to take a half hour to get there, and, she decided that she, wanted to get up the next morning and enjoy the day. I really saw some flaws in her story this time. I just was like, if you knew that it was going to take a half hour, why would you go? In addition to that, Ryan says that he convinced her to go back again. And why is this on my shirt? He convinced her, he went back, she jumped out the cab, and then he went back and convinced her to come. On the dance floor, he makes a comment and says, we need to really stop this fighting. And he said, she blew up and she kirked out. I think she is optimistic about the relationship with Ryan. And I don't know whether it's out of desperation or whether or not it's in trying to prove to her family and friends that she's over her deceased boyfriend. I'm really looking at both of them now with the crooked eye, because I really do believe that there's some other things that are going on with the two of them, and I just think that those things need to be spoken. I think with all of these couples, they're all coming in with a whole lot of baggage, and they're not talking about those things that need to be talked about because they don't know each other, and they have, only been together for 7 weeks. But I think if you're dating somebody, after you get past that 24-hour mark and you decide that this is the person that I'm going to date, and you start having that communication, that regular communication with them, I believe that at that time you should really start sharing some things about who you are, what makes you who you are, so that they understand. The thing about it is, I don't ever want, somebody to be with me and have an excuse to handle me a certain way that I don't want to be handled because you said that you didn't know. I want to be clear that you basically know, so that when you handle me that way, you know that you violated me and that you've disrespected me in some kind of way. If you've offended me, I want you to know why it offended me. I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody where they got to guess and they got all these excuses, be saying that what you did not know. And Ryan is that party kind of guy. Jacqueline knows this. And you know what? As women, and I can only talk as women because I'm a woman. Um, as women, we have that third instinct. She knows that this relationship is not going to work. When Dr. Pepper comes over, she's like, I can already see that, you're hurting. Yeah, because we as women, we basically wear it on our faces. We wear it on our chest. We speak about it. As women, if we're hurting about something and something has really devastated us to the core of who we are, we're going to show that. And then on top of that, she already knows that this man isn't the right man for her. She knows that he's never going to be the man that she wants him to be. I don't give a flying freak what output came out of the computer that said that you were compatible. When you're dealing with that person, you know whether or not you're compatible or not. You know if this man is going to step up to the plate. Ryan, over and over and over and over and over again, has failed Jacqueline in the area of being responsible, taking accountability, and just plain old simply doing the simple things that a man does when he's in love with a woman, like say the home. And Jacqueline knows this, but I don't get it. And so I say, if she stays in this relationship, she gonna get what she gonna get. It is what it is. Yes, Ryan is faking, but your heart doesn't fake. Your heart tells you, this ain't right, Bookie. This relationship is not right. Whether it be a man or a woman, your heart is going to tell you whether or not this is somebody who is compatible. So they sit in there with Dr. Pepper, and she says, Ryan's like, I know that this is the woman that I want to be married to. I want to be married to her. I've had all these failed relationships. Okay, keyword that I would have buzzed in on. You've had all these failed relationships. You're embarrassed. You don't want to look like you got to get another failed relationship. So you're going to use me as a crash dummy. I don't think so. I will not be your crash dummy in this relationship. I will not allow you to treat me any kind of way that you want to treat me. I will not allow you to talk to me any kind. I will not allow you to be in my life and not fulfill the basic necessities that I like. Get the fuck out. Like, I don't have another way of saying it other than just saying, you know what, I'm done. And any time they're in a 7-month marriage and they're already talking about divorce, then you already know, because guess what? Out of the abundance of the auntie, what? Let me see. What you saying, Sarah? Oh, somebody making a comment. Oh, she said auntie. Anaya, she can't see comments without her glasses. That's right, Anaya. Hi, everybody. But it's no need to stay in a relationship where you're not getting what you need out of that relationship. Like it's bye. And here's the thing. We've seen it all season with John. In his most inward parts, in his heart of hearts, all the way down to his toenails, he knew that Molly didn't want him. He knew Molly didn't want him. And Molly knew all the way down to the edge of her eyelashes that she was totally unattracted to John. But again, she says she likes science. And so for her, this was just a regular old project. They say that they go through extensive interviews and studies, and she beat everything to be on that show. And I'm sure that later on we will discover why. But she beat all the odds, and she made it on the show. She deceived everybody but John. John knew that she was being fake, and when the cameras turned off, that she was cold to him. He knew that she was sexually unattracted to him, but he stayed in the relationship despite every fiber and muscle and cell and membrane in his body telling him that you don't need to proceed. And sometimes you have to go with your gut instinct. He waited and she waited. He allowed her to embarrass him. He allowed her to degrade him to the point where he had to videotape it. See, they were on their honeymoon, and Molly kept saying week after week after week, oh, we got so much in common. We have so much in common. We're so alike. But yet you find this man physically and sexually attractive. So everything that they matched you on, made him that much more unattractive to you. Because I'm supposed to like him because we both like reading, and we both like roller coasters, and we both like competitive sports. We both like all of these things, but yet I am sexually and physically unattracted to him. And his body was buffed up. Like, I mean, call me. His body was together, but it wasn't what she was attracted to. Now, here's a comment that someone made in my comment section, and I just think that, although, these are not my comments, I think that it's worth me mentioning. Someone mentioned that Molly and her girlfriend had a one-night stand with a dude, and they were wondering whether or not Molly actually has lesbian tendencies. And I don't know whether or not she has lesbian tendencies, and she likes threesomes and, all of that kind of stuff. I don't know, but it did come up in my comments, and you know what? It made my eyebrows rise up. You sit down in a restaurant, you go with your boyfriend, your husband, you tell him, y'all have had a great day, y'all been drinking. But even when you look at how she acts and reacts to things, the disdain that's in her eyes, like you could see it all in the tightness of her body. Even on the airplane, they showed them on the airplane on Unfiltered. And he says something to her, and he says something to her, and you could see that like she's not feeling him. She's absolutely not feeling him. She never was. And she never was going to get there. But she's one of those girls that she reminds me. Let me make sure that I say this right, because I don't want nobody coming for auntie. She reminds me of one of those girls in the office that sits at the front desk, eager to be more than a receptionist. And here you come in, and you're entry-level professional, and she wants your spot. She applied for the job and she didn't get it. And she's one of those girls that seems like she would just self-sabotage. Like she would be that type of female that would come in the office and be like, "What's up, you little ugly bitch?" And then smile for the boss. You would have 100-page proposal that you had to. Thank you so much for that. Who was that? I can't even see. Thank you, RT66 Vintage. I appreciate you. Oh, somebody said my gayer said Molly is not a lesbian. By the way, what is the full name of the Unfiltered show? I've tried to find it, but it wasn't able to. Thanks in advance. Hi, Lily. It is Married at First Sight Unfiltered, or Unfiltered Married at First Sight. I didn't know this screen was dirty. Y'all should have told me this screen was fuzzy. Okay. Can't do nothing now. Y'all already on the air. So she just appears to me to be one of those women that when you would have 100-page proposal ready to give to your boss, and you go home for the evening and you're ready, you get you a good night's sleep, and you do all the things required for you to do, and you come in the next day and your meeting's at 10 and you're 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:30, you go and start looking through it and you notice that 25 pages are gone out of the middle. And the only person that was left in the office that night was Molly. She just seems like she's the type of girl that would just smile and grin because she never told the truth. She didn't tell the truth about how she was treating John, not to herself and not to anybody else. She totally deceived everybody involved in the process. She gets on here and she tries to deceive John, but the heart doesn't lie. The heart absolutely will tell you the truth. Whether you want to feel it or not, your heart's going to tell you. And so he goes to a bar, and Molly is already at the bar. She says that she's tired, but she's tired and she doesn't really want to be bothered. And so John says that he's talking to her and she's giving him one-word answers. And he says, she's just like, I'm so tired. But another single gentleman who is sitting at the bar engages her in conversation, and now she is chirping and singing like a parakeet. And so John decides to approach her to say something to her about it. And then an argument ensues. He takes his cell phone out and begins to record the Molly that nobody has seen and always wondered what the entire fuck is wrong with her. And so now we see that she is a evil person. She tells him that he is disgusting repeatedly over and over again. She goes on to tell him that when you touch me, you make my skin crawl. She mocks him and makes fun of him and says, basically, you're making a videotape so you can say, Molly, oh, look what Molly did to me. Do you know how evil of a person you have to be? But it did. But in some ways, I absolutely blame John. Because when the psychiatrist came, or the sex expert, or whatever she is, she came to check on the couples. She separated them in the room. Thank you. Who is that? Let me see who that is. Thank you, Bobby. Yes, Clinique. She's so rude. She's so rude. She is such a mean girl and has no heart. She is such an abuser. I know I've said this before, but it really is painful to look at this. It is, Lily. Thank you, Bobby, so much for the super chat. This thing is cloudy. Turn off the lights and light a candle. Okay. All right. I was trying to give y'all some entertainment while my finger was going on the screen. And so, basically, she mocks him. And so when the counselor and the therapist comes over, she separates the two of them because, there's some problems that are going on. We see John before that in a park, and, he's just broken down and he's empty. He has nothing else to give to the relationship. I mean, nothing else to give. How many of us have been there where you just trying your damnness to be there for this person and to stay in love and to be in love and to feel loved and to give love, and you just have nothing else to give? Woo! We not gonna go down either because that's back down memory lane. I see him standing there, okay, looking like a big old bear, and love's beyond repair. Look at there, okay? So, it's just like he was so broken down in that park, and he just knew this is it. For someone to call you disgusting and to say the things that they've said, and to treat you that way, oh my God, like I can't even imagine it. So anyway, she goes on and she talks to the therapist, and she's like, how was the trip? I heard some things went down. And she was like, nothing went down. I mean, we had a great time. There was a little small argument, but other than that, that was it. So Molly, do you know, is there anything that you would have done differently? No. I didn't steal all of her papers out of her briefing. You thought you saw me in the office, but I wasn't in the office. I didn't try to sabotage anybody's career. That's not the kind of girl that I am. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh my God, I never called her a bitch. I would never say anything like that. I have two sisters and a mother. My father's deceased and I'm broken. I am a broken woman because my dad is gone on to be with the Lord. I really had a close relationship with my dad, and I love all the people of the world, and I absolutely love John. I am going to love him because after all, we have so many things in common, and we've been matched by the experts, and so we're going to stay together. And I enjoy being in his company, and I do give him kisses occasionally. What a cold bitch. Just cold, insensitive, numb, just not even from the neck down, as Jan Levon Zong would say, from the eyes down. That's a cold-hearted bitch. So John comes out. He broken. He disgusted. He comes out. She asked him, how's the vacation? He said it was some garbage. I mean, we was having a good time and everything till, she went down to the bar. And, she told me that she wasn't feeling good and she was tired. But as I began to watch her at the bar interact with this man, I said, you know what? This ain't got nothing to do with tired. This is me. This is all about me. And she's called me disgusting. And she told me, that basically when I touch her, I make her skin crawl. She said that to you? Yeah, the hell she said that to me. And guess what? I got a videotape of it. And so he pulls out the videotape and she looks at the videotape. Prior to her looking at the videotape, she was believing Molly. See, Molly is so good. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I was saying, she's one of those girls in the office that's trying to get your job. That crab in the barrel mentality, feeling like she's worthy and she deserves to get, the best and to have the best, and you're beneath her and you just don't know that you're beneath her yet, but she's one of those bitches that'll show you that she's beneath you. That's Molly. So, he basically says, I got a videotape. She said, oh, let me see it. And when she sees it, her whole face changes. Because now she realized she's been had. Not even by the best. And a lot of people are saying that John was wrong for doing what he did. And he may have been wrong for doing what he did. But as the therapist said, I can relate and I can understand why he did what he did and why he felt like he needed to do what he did. Because there's one thing for someone to lie on you, you know what I'm saying, or to fudge the truth, or to tell a little white lie. But it's another thing for a person to be manipulative and deceptive. Because, see, those things cause punitive damages. You've caused me to lose everything emotionally because of this damage. And so now I want punitive damages. See, this is beyond just you just being dirty. Like you like he needs to seek punitive damages for the abuse, the mental and physical and emotional abuse that he has taken from this woman. And I would even go so far as to say that I would come. I ain't gonna go that far, but I'd be looking for some damages, because that's emotional embarrassment. When you have to tape something, you got to take your camera out like you at a traffic stop, scared for your life. That speaks volumes to the abuse that you have received at the hands of a bitch named Molly with a stick up that ass. So they bring her back in, and she says, so, Molly, so you got something you want to tell me? Molly said, no. Oh, you know, about the argument and everything. Is there anything in this relationship do you feel like you've given 100? And John says, I feel like I've given everything. And she said, yeah, there's nothing I would change. There's absolutely nothing that I would change. She said, Molly, you don't have anything that you regret? No, not one thing. Well, let me tell you something. You know what? John, play the footage. Oh, yeah. Yeah, them eyelashes back now, ain't they? So John begins to play the footage. And she sits there and she looks at it. And she, you know, she's angry, but she's trying to keep her composure, because women that, you know, act like her are bitter down to their core. So there's a rumble in the jungle that's going down, because the women that are like that are manipulative and just this plain old pure D devil walking in the flesh, can't handle being exposed for the demon that they are. And so she says, well, what was this supposed to do? I mean, you know, what was this supposed to do? First of all, John didn't play it again. She asked John to play it again. So how about you direct your question that way? Don't ask John a damn thing, because you've already done enough damage to John. You have emasculated this man in a way that I have never seen a man emasculated on national television. I've seen people drag and fight and hit. I've never, ever seen a man be emasculated this way by a woman on national television. You have torn this man. This man's going to need therapy. He's going to need therapy. But I digress, because I got to get the hell out of here and go to class. But so, you know, bottom line is, she said, I know you don't like, you know, she's like, well, you know, Molly, I saw the tape and the footage shows that you're an asshole. You said some very vile things to John. And that's the first time I've ever talked to him like that. Those the first time I've ever used those words. But you know what though, Molly? I asked you straight up, Molly, how did the argument go? How was the trip? And you told me nothing like that. You know what? I'm about to lose my you had to de-escalate this. Oh no, we're not gonna escalate this, but we're getting ready to take this to the streets. That's what we're about to do. We're about to take this to the streets. You sit up here and you act like, she told her when I've asked you questions about this, you have act like and downplayed everything and act like nothing has happened. And here I see a video of this vile, disgusting stuff that you have said to your man, and you sit up with us and with Dr. Pepper and everybody else and act like nothing has happened. And John was sitting over there smug as a bug in a rug, and I was rooting for him. I was smiling for him. But this motherfucker gonna need some therapy. So anyway, long to the short of it, you know, basically she gets exposed. And she asks them from 10 to 0. 0 being I don't want this marriage. 0 meaning I don't want this marriage and I want a divorce. Where do you fall on the scale? Molly says she falls at 2 and John says he falls at 1. And Molly says, you know what? I'm going home to be with my family. Bye. If anybody asks you where I'm going soon. Okay? She's going up to yonder. You need to go back and start from scratch. Molly, you have been embarrassed and you have been exposed for the lying, manipulative individual that you are. And I am so happy that John recorded that so that we could see what the hell was going on. Now, we all know that, you know, she has been a BINGO, but we didn't know to what extent. And like she said, anybody that has treated you like this and you have them in your home is not a friend. They're not a wife. She had to get on him because he has to take responsibility for him. And when you're in a relationship that is not serving you, that is not causing you to grow, that is not causing you to feel good about yourself, you cannot stay in that relationship, because what you do is you give the person permission. You enable them to treat you. Oh, okay, that's a super chat. Thank you. What'd you say? I must be preaching. This is your second one. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat. When you are in a relationship and that person is treating you poorly, it is your responsibility. You have to take a responsibility and accountability for the abuse that you allow to come into your life. Trust me, you are looking at a woman who has been through domestic violence. I know what it is to be violated and treated poorly by a man. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I stood up on my 2 feet and I was like, I'm telling you right now, my brother, I may not whoop your ass, but I'm telling you right now, you're going to know that I've been there. And sure enough, he knew that I was there, and he knew when I left, and he knew when I put that ass out and we separated, and I got all the protective orders and everything that I needed in order to move on with my life. You have got to cut abuse off. I don't care if it's mental, emotional, physical, psychologically. I don't care if it's spiritual. You have got to listen to your heart of hearts. You've got to know when to end the relationship. You have to know that you are more valuable than rubies and diamonds. You are more valuable than precious gold. God has created you with a purpose. And anybody who abuses you and doesn't understand the purpose of who you are and what they are to bring into your life, cut them off. And I know that it sounds easy, because it is easy. It's one decision easy. You don't even have to move your stuff that day, but you got to take control and accountability for your own spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical health. You cannot give that away to somebody on a silver platter, because then you find that person gets empowered every time they get up in the morning. every time they get up in the morning knowing that they got away with that, you empower them to continue the cycle of abuse. You do not have to stay in an abusive relationship with anybody for any circumstance. I don't care if you're married. I don't care if you're shacking. I don't care if he's your boyfriend. I don't care if you're the side chick. I don't care if you're the wife and he got a side chick. You do not deserve abuse, and you cannot stay there. You cannot stay in an abusive relationship. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Cut it off. Having said that, we see Japti, who makes up for his mistakes by buying things. His love language is gift giving. And so every time he messes up, there's a gift that's sitting there. I can't deal with a man like that, because I can't stand the rain against my window. I can't do it. Because you can't make it go away with a pocketbook. You can't make it go away with a puppy. You can't make it go away with an apology. You have to make it go away by changing yourself. But one thing I did like about Japti that would probably maybe that smidge of it keep me in a relationship is that he does take accountability. He does take accountability. So he buys a little puppy, and her name is Kiki, and all is right with the world. But I don't know. I'm hoping that Japti and Shawnee stay together. I'm hoping that Jacqueline and Ryan separate. And I'm hoping that Marley and John, since they're separated, stay separated. John don't get weak. You know, that she told them not to stay together for the sake of the show and for trying to save face. And that reminds me of many women who stay together for the sake of the kids, faking it till they make it. Let me tell you something. It's never okay. So in that, I'm going to close this because I feel like I done went to church and everything, and I'm back. I appreciate you all for being here. And I appreciate your review. If you don't like what I said, it's okay. Put it down in the comment section. As long as you're respectful, you won't get that ass blocked. It's okay to disagree, but as long as you disagree respectfully, we good. But I thank you all so much for being here. I love you, and I'm on my way out the door to school. Won't be back home until late tonight, but thank you so much for being here, and thank you everybody for your super chats. I appreciate you, and I love you to pieces. Bye-bye.